This is It's Not in the Syllabus podcast, the how-tos of a student beyond classroom walls. This is the podcast where you, yes you, get to learn what they don't teach you at school and ace that test called life, or at least get a passing grade and get by. It's Not in the Syllabus is a podcast brought to you by the Adventist International Institute of Advanced Studies, together with the Student Association, where we feature stories by the students and for the students. Join us as we discover life lessons you'll surely need.
Welcome to another episode of It's Not in the Syllabus. We are in the month of June, and in the month of June, we are talking, or our theme is student life issues and mental health. And today with me, I have Pastor Lubani. How are you, Pastor Lubani?
Fine, thanks. How are you, Eddie?
I'm good. It's good to have you here.
It's a pleasure. Thank you so much for inviting me to be part of this series.
Thank you. I'll briefly introduce Pastor Lubani, but let me tell you what are we going to talk about today. We are going to talk about self-love. Is it biblical that we have to love ourselves so much that we may forget others? So, allow me to introduce Pastor Lubani. I've known him for 6 years now?
6 years.
6 years, and Pastor Lubani comes all the way from Malawi. He is a lecturer in Malawi Adventist College.
Malawi Adventist University.
At Malawi Adventist University, and is here in the IS Theological Seminary. He is done with his PhD in New Testament. By 1 week from now, he will be graduating.
That's it.
We can officially call him doctor, but we'll be waiting for that graduation day.
Yeah, according to our standards.
According to the standard,
I'm still a PhD candidate.
He's a PhD candidate, which soon is going to graduate by God's grace.
Yeah.
Pastor Lubani, I enjoy talking to you, in particularly when it comes to biblical ideas. So when we talk about self-love, I think it'd be wise for us to begin operationalize, or maybe giving a definition. What is self-love to you, or maybe to the broader audience out there?
This is a very big question, and because of what is happening out there in the world, it's hard to give you a one-word answer.
All right.
So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to give you perspectives.
Interesting.
Okay? Both perspectives are definitions of self-love.
Okay.
And I will begin by quoting one scholar who has also given self-love a definition. And this scholar is Geoffrey Borenstein.
Right.
He's a medical doctor, but also a president of Brain and Behavior Research Foundation.
Okay.
He defines self-love as a state of appreciation of oneself that grows from actions that support our physical, psychological, and spiritual growth. Self-love means having a high regard on your own well-being and happiness. It means taking care of yourself and not sacrificing your well-being to please others. Self-love means not settling for less than you deserve.
Okay.
If you look at this definition, you can begin to appreciate that, wow, this is it. But if you analyze it a little deeper, you're going to find that it's just defining selfishness, or it's just trying to put a white coat on the word selfishness.
Okay.
So I would like to call this the secular definition
of self-love.
All
right.
Okay? But there is another definition also by Andre Brandt. And Andre Brandt is a marriage and family therapist who said that self-love can be defined as loving yourself. But loving yourself doesn't mean that you are the smartest.
I think in that definition, it gives room for other people to... Go ahead.
Yes. It doesn't mean you are the smartest or the most talented or the most beautiful person in the world.
Yeah, you're not the only chocolate person.
No. Instead, when you love yourself, you accept the so-called weaknesses. You are able to appreciate your shortcomings. When you love yourself, you have compassion for others, and you are able to take care of the other simply because you understand yourself. You treat yourself friendly so that you are able to treat others friendly without nitpicking and criticizing yourself or others.
Okay.
So if you look at these definitions, I can almost say that the first one is a secular definition.
Okay.
And while the second one, I can almost call it a biblical definition. I'm going to substantiate or to give more to my coining it the spiritual definition. So if you ask me about self-love, there are these two definitions. And the world at the moment, with whatever is happening, is divided between those two perspectives.
All right. The selfish
one, and where you understand yourself in order to relate well with others. And you are better made to serve others. You are better made to relate to others.
Okay.
Having understood the weaknesses, having had that self-awareness.
Wow.
Yes.
Well, I like the second idea. Although the first definition has some element of questioning, but also in some extent it brings few things that could be clarified. I want to come to the point where you said, if you ask me what will be the biblical definition of self-love, what will you say?
I will take you very, very quickly to Matthew chapter 22.
Okay.
And in Matthew 22, I'm going to take you to verse 36. And he said to him, this is Jesus Christ talking to the Pharisees and the Sadducees. And this is what he said. You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your mind.
Yeah.
Loving God first. And Jesus Christ went on to say, this is the greatest and the foremost commandment. And he said, the second is like it. Kind of to say, the second one is equivalent to the first one.
Yeah.
What is it? You shall love your neighbor as yourself.
Yeah.
Now, I want us to look at it because most of the times when we are looking at Matthew 22, verse 39, we just focus on the first part. You shall love your neighbor. And we emphasizing on loving your neighbor, forgetting that the text has the second part, which is the prerequisite of the first. I'm going to repeat that one. The second part of this particular text is a prerequisite of the first one. It is a condition of the first one.
Okay.
How are you going to love your neighbor? It begins with self-love.
But it's not a selfish love.
It's not selfish love.
A self-love.
It is self-love. It begins with having that self-awareness that the kind of a being God made me, I need to appreciate it.
Okay.
I need to take care of it.
Okay.
I need to cherish it.
Okay.
I need to value it. In the same way I cherish it, in the same way I value it, enables me to value Eddie.
Okay.
When I see a weakness in you, I don't criticize you. When I see a weakness in you,
I think repeat that.
when I see a weakness in you, Eddie, okay, that weakness helps me to understand that I may also have that particular weakness and I'm not better than Eddie.
Yeah.
Okay?
I agree 100% with the idea of when you see a weakness on someone else, you should not say, oh, this guy is going to this way. Why? Because there is this guy, I like to read his book, his talk. He's a Muslim, but I enjoy his, So he said, when you see a great man falling, don't laugh.
Okay.
Learn. Because you're not different than the person who just fall.
Yes.
I like that idea. Pastor Lubani, you brought the Bible, the perspective of self-love. It's both in the Old and New Testament. So is it safe to say, I will have to be very clear on this second idea of our conversation.
Yes.
Is it safe to say that the Bible advocates self-love? Because when you read Matthew 22, 37 to 39, in fact, and then when we begin with Deuteronomy, and then we go to Matthew and all other gospels, Jesus clearly says, love God as yourself and love your neighbor. So is it safe to say that the Bible advocates self-love?
It is very safe to say that. Very, very safe to say that. However, the problem is coming in simply because there is now what is called the self-movement in the world we're living in today.
Yes.
Now, simply because there is a self-movement, and the whole idea of the self-movement is about loving yourself and do not mind about what is happening with your neighbor.
It's you first.
Yes.
Your happiness.
Yes.
Your joy.
It's me, myself, and I.
Yeah. The rest comes later.
Even if it doesn't come, you don't mind.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Because in the new self-movement, it says, I am because I am.
Yeah.
But in the biblical perspective, we are saying, I am because you are.
It's the Ubuntu spirit.
The Ubuntu spirit, I am because you are.
Yeah.
You are not who you are, but simply because of who you are.
Yeah.
There are so many things that shape us. And as the Bible puts it, as iron sharpens iron, so one man sharpens the other.
Yeah.
You cannot deny that particular perspective. So it is safe to say that the Bible advocates it. But the way the Bible advocates self-love, it advocates self-love for mission.
Wow. Okay.
It advocates self-love for service.
Yeah.
It advocates self-love so that you are able to build other people according to their needs, just as Paul puts it in Ephesians chapter 5. To build other people according to their needs.
Yeah.
So when you build yourself up simply because you love yourself, you study the scriptures, you pray, you fast, and you make sure that you take care of all these spiritual disciplines that one must imbibe.
Yeah.
You are built into an able being who is able to be of productive service to others. But when you don't love yourself, you don't pray. You don't meditate on the scriptures.
Yeah.
Your choices in life are very, very careless because you don't love yourself.
Yeah.
You don't love your family. You don't love your spouse. You don't love your brother who is with you in the same apartment, or the brother who is with you in class. To an extent that even when your brother would want to have some assistance from you, you have nothing in you because you don't love yourself. You don't you haven't been building yourself up for the sake of service.
Yeah.
So you are useless.
Correct.
If I may use that word, it's a very strong word,
Very.
but that's what you become at the end of the day. Useless for humanity.
I like the idea that we must have self-love because it generates a sense of mission, sense of service.
Yes.
And if we can just put in one word, is a sense of being there for others. We are not exempted when it comes to building oneself love.
Yes.
But to one extent, we love what we love because of the environment. I'll put it this way. We grew up with families, and then the way we love has much to do with how they loved us.
Yes.
And it's so unfortunate that there are families that will destroy you. I say emotionally, and some can even be physically.
Yeah.
So at one time, they robbed you the idea of you loving yourself. That's why today we have people who are self-pleaser. They please others more. They forget about themselves. So how can we love others when we were robbed by our families, by environment, the idea of them loving us back? So how do we restore when we don't have self-love? Is it possible for someone to restore the idea of self-love?
It is very, very possible. And thank you for bringing this idea, because apart from the fact that the family was supposed to be the institution that builds individuals, it's unfortunate that families are now becoming institutions that are also destroying people.
Correct.
When people think of how they were brought up, how they were treated, they tend to resent. Some people even resent their own mothers, their own fathers, because of the abuse they experienced in their own home state.
Correct.
Okay? We cannot deny that fact.
Yeah.
Some people are who they are simply because of other people they met outside their home state.
Yeah.
People they met in the church, people they met in the mall, people they met in school.
Yeah.
They even stopped going home. However, it is still possible for a person to change that particular perspective by learning the ideal. What is the ideal? The ideal is what the scriptures teach us. And be able to do what I can call here disassociation.
Okay.
Being able to say, even though my family was like this,
Yeah.
but my family was not a perfect example.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
So even though my family was not a perfect example, but this is what the scriptures teach us.
Yeah.
They teach us that we need to love one another.
Yeah.
We need to build one another. And if one cannot take care of the members of his own family, 1 Timothy 5 verse 8, he is worse than a pagan.
Yeah.
That's what the scriptures teach. So we can change our own perspectives. Actually, I have grown up myself. I have grown up to say, I want to be a better version of my parents.
Correct.
Meaning to say, I want to be better than what they were. Having grown up, having seen how they lived and related to one another, and with all the grace God has given to me, the grace of knowledge from the scriptures, the grace of interacting with people with who have exemplary families,
Yeah.
that grace should make me a better version of my parents.
Okay.
And if possible, my children,
Yeah.
I pray that they should also be a better version of me.
Yeah.
They should be able to say, Dad and Mommy used to do A, B, C, D, F, G.
But
we would rather be
Yeah.
like this, a better version. So each and every generation,
becomes a better
by God's
version.
grace, to become a better version.
Yeah.
So one can learn that.
Okay. So it's possible.
It is very, very possible.
Yeah.
It is very, very possible. I can admit it to you and even to the listeners that I grew up with a father whom his whole life up until he died, he never went to church. But I take my children to church. And they know that in my house, there is no choice. There is nothing like, Daddy, can I not go to church today and go watch a game? No, there is nothing like that.
Yeah.
On Sabbath, you go to church.
Yeah.
And in church, you sit with me. You don't sit anywhere.
And we have seen that.
Yes.
I even have a picture of you sitting with your family in the
Definitely. No
same
choice.
spot every single Sabbath.
And you must be disciplined when you sit in church.
Yeah.
With me.
Yeah.
You don't come to church, sit with me, and you're playing around.
Yeah.
We are in God's presence.
Definitely.
Yes. So you can see that particular contrast. Where did I learn this discipline? I didn't learn from my father.
Definitely.
But having seen families who lived an exemplary life, having learned from the scriptures, God has helped me by His grace
Amen.
that I can become a better version of what they were.
Okay. Wow. When it comes to love oneself or what as yourself, you have said that it's possible that in as much you were not given that environment, but you can, through the word of God and through observations of how best, I will not say best family, but family
Exemplary.
exemplary
Yeah.
families,
Yeah.
it's possible. I know you as a chaplain. I think many people do not know Pastor Lubani is also a chaplain, and you have been working with students
Yes.
for over years.
7 good years.
7 good years
Working as a chaplain.
And here
yes.
we are in a school environment. And if a student comes to you, this is a practical question. A student comes to you and say, Pastor Lubani, I have tried to love myself, but I just can't. What should I do? And what best practice will you give to that student?
One thing I learned in chaplaincy is that it's not much about what you teach. I'm going to repeat myself.
Yeah.
In chaplaincy, it is not about what you teach the students,
Okay.
but you bring yourself closer. You bring your true self to one who is in need
Okay.
of help.
Okay.
And that's what we call incarnational ministry. When you incarnate, because in a church setting,
Yeah.
The pastor and the membership,
Yeah.
they live apart.
Definitely.
But chaplaincy brings the pastor and the parishioner together in the same setting,
Yeah.
day in, day out.
Okay.
So if you ask me, the young people whom I saw that they were so much troubled, I didn't bring them much to my office and then load scriptures into them.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Counselings that took very long hours.
Yeah.
No. What I did,
Yeah.
what I learned was to disciple them
Okay.
so that they hang around me all the time as their friend.
Okay. 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 Okay.
So if you ask me about all that,
Yeah.
I will not say a word.
You just invite the person.
Let them hang around.
Okay. They observe.
Let's go out together to minister to others who are in need. Others who are trampled by the evils of this world.
Okay.
Let's go out together. Let them see me, how I comfort them, how Jesus did it. Because let's look at Jesus Christ and the sons of Zebedee.
Yeah.
To me, if you ask me, I can say that the most selfish individuals among the disciples were the sons of Zebedee.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
They came from a privileged background.
Correct.
And coming from a privileged background, they also wanted a position of privilege. You can read that from Matthew chapter 20, from verse 20 to 28.
Yeah, my son should sit at the right and the
Yes, but what did Jesus Christ do? He brought them even closer. And as John writes in his gospel,
Yeah.
he writes again and again to say he was a disciple whom Jesus loved most.
Yeah. Yeah.
To an extent that during the Last Supper, it is said that it was John who sat on the other side of Jesus. So that if anything would happen that Jesus declares that he has established his kingdom and their positions, he should be the one.
Yeah.
But what did Jesus Christ do? He loved them most. Now, analyze the scriptures and find out which one of the biblical writers wrote most about the love of Jesus.
John.
It's John.
Yeah.
So it is love that begot love.
Yeah.
It is love that brought about the repentance. It is love that brought about the change. But Jesus did so through incarnating, make himself readily available. The more they learned of him, the more they knew God. The more they learned of him, the more their selfishness waned and they become so lovely.
Correct. And in fact, you learn to recover through see other people's stories.
Yes.
Because when you are going through tough times in life, you think you're the only one going through that. But as you rightly said, you invite the students, you minister with them, you go out with them. So they also see that, hey,
it is possible.
I'm not the only one.
It is possible. And actually, when they see others
Yeah.
whose life has been completely destroyed
Correct.
to very unimaginable levels,
Yeah.
that's when they realize that this path may not take me to a better life one would expect in life.
Correct. Correct.
But that it will just bring me distraction.
Definitely.
So in that way, I would say that in a setting where many are struggling, let's come closer to people.
Yeah.
And let me also emphasize it. Let's come very close to people. The more we come closer to them, the more we understand them, the more we bring an influence that will bring about a life-changing experience, and the more they will become a better people to others.
Correct.
So let's come very close to people. The temptation most of the times is to shun.
Away.
You know, that temptation is high, more especially in higher education institutions like
Yeah,
this.
everybody's mature.
You think so, but people are going through a lot.
Correct.
People are going through a lot.
Yeah.
By becoming closer to somebody, that interaction alone, it brings about a difference of some kind.
Yeah.
And now, I'm saying this knowing that we are living in a world that is described by self in every way.
Sure.
when I'm going jogging, I usually put on my earphones. I want to listen to some music.
Yeah.
Okay. I want to listen to a podcast which I haven't had time to listen to because I'm not so free. I have a lot of things to do.
Yeah.
So usually I take time when I am jogging to listen to things which I can't spare time to just sit there and listen.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm aware of that. But that shouldn't take away the fact that I can also use the same time to come closer to somebody.
Correct.
Okay, let's take a walk together, or let's drive to Manila together, or let's go to church together, or let's sit in church together. You know, and the most dangerous thing with an institution like ours, where this is a graduate, level. A graduate school. Such education can also take you away from people, and it can also make you to love yourself much more than you were supposed to, in an endeavor to make sure that you are working hard to finish your assignments on time, to finish your writing on time, leave the campus on time. So you forget everyone. You forget everyone around you.
You forget to socialize.
You forget to socialize. You even forget to sit with people or to interact with people. So by the time you are finishing, it's you and your PhD and you don't know anyone. So even when you become a professor, your life will be described by the same, where you don't mind about your very students.
Yeah.
So that is very, very dangerous. We need to make sure that much as we are pursuing our goals, we are not alone in the pursuit of goals.
Correct.
There are people around you. There is family. There are your children. There are brothers and sisters. There are friends. There is even the community around you. Correct. Don't ignore it.
Yeah. And this is a place where communities are all over.
Yes.
And then I agree that when we have this idea of inviting people to come and minister to us or with us as they are going through tough times, also as they are having the lack of love. I remember once, just a brief story as we connect to the other point.
Yes.
That in fact, let me say this. If there's one thing that students will always remember, it's not much on the class settings, the knowledge that we gain. That is there, but the students will always remember the personal touch.
Yes.
That we had with that particular professor.
Yes.
And I remember I was healed, very sick. There was, I can say a name, Dr. The Gaikwats. They've left the classroom. And they say, Eddie, we're leaving the classroom. She went home, she cooked something, and she brought it to my house. You know, up to this time.
I still remember that.
And there are many other professors who have done good things.
Yeah.
Up to that time, I say, she's a seasoned professor.
Yeah.
She said, I will stop everything, but I'll come to you. And that time, I don't remember that I was taking class under her, but
yes.
I said, Mom, I can't meet with you today because I'm this.
Yes.
She says, okay, I'm coming to you. 30 minutes, her and the husband in my doorpost.
Great.
So I truly believe that if we are really connected with people, we're going to be able to help them overcome their own lack of self-love. Pastor Lubani, we are coming towards the end of our conversation. We live in an individualistic society.
Yes.
As you rightly mentioned, that the idea of self-love becomes so selfish because we think just about ourselves. And not just about ourselves, because if you go to YouTube, there are motivational speakers. In fact, there are self-encouraging books or self-motivational books that tells you can do it. Actually, the idea is you can do it. Although I don't discourage the idea of discipline, is there, but to one extent that we have to be very careful with that type of encouragement.
You are very correct. I can say that even some people who are running different ministries, which they call Christian ministries, to me, they are not Christian ministries per se. They are just people who think themselves to be preachers, but they're not preachers of the gospel. They are just bringing psychology. Okay, to the church, and all they are talking about is psychological, nothing salvific. They are there. Actually, this point talks about one of the approaches that is there in worship. This is called the marketing approach of worship. Now, in the marketing approach of worship, the needs of the worshiper forms the center of worship.
Correct.
They form the pivot. Correct. So what are you looking for? Okay, I'm looking for a wife. I'm looking for a job. I'm looking for a house. Or my business is not doing very well. So they say, come. Whatever you're looking for, you're going to get it. Forgetting that Matthew chapter 6 verse 33 says, seek first his kingdom and his righteousness, and then all these things shall be added unto you. This is the marketing approach of worship, where the needs of the worshipper are made a priority. But there is another approach, which is known as the Pentecostal approach of worship. In the Pentecostal approach of worship, the worshipper is the center of worship, and not even the needs, but the worshipper. So what the worshipper wants, what the worshipper needs, is what forms the center. If the worshipper want to come to church half naked,
that's it.
That's the worshipper. That's what he wants. If the worshipper would like to dance ndombolo, would like to dance reggae, amidst worship, and jump to the roof, that's okay. This goes against the biblical approach of worship, where God is the center.
Correct.
So with all these things that are happening in the world today, I would ask those who are going to listen to this podcast to always remember that one of the tools which we can use to fight the self-disease is to make sure that our love for God is growing day in, day out. Whatever we do, whatever we are, it should be for God and the people around you. Loving God and loving people.
Correct.
Whatever, when we are doing what we can call self-development, earning a PhD, earning a master's, earning money, it should be for God
and the people.
And for the people.
Correct.
That will help us a great deal, and it will make the world a better place to live, even though we know that we will not be the best. But we will know that God has people. Are people he can depend on, even though many have chosen to take another path. And the other thing before I stop talking, which I can also remind us, is that we are living in a postmodern era. Okay? Generation Z and the millennials and the self-movement. The self-movement. And the whole idea about, postmodernism is about subjectivity. It is about the people, their ego, there is no truth out there. You can discover your own truth, because truth is subjective. It is not objective. What is true to you may not be true to me. So what I feel about anything, I don't mind. That's why we are told that we are living, the culture at the moment, it is a cancel culture. Okay? So in the cancel culture, it's about you and what you think, not you. Who are you? I don't mind. But we need to make sure that we are cured of the self-disease. And Jesus said it clearly. You shall be known to be my disciples
if you love
one another.
Correct. In fact, when the idea of loving Jesus or loving God or develop a personal relationship with him, it has to be balanced. Because there are people who take it to the extreme. I don't know if it's safe to say they tend to love Jesus more and disregard the other person. I don't think that is really an honest love. Let me tell you a story as we conclude. There's this woman who called me through a friend who said, Eddie, there's a lady who will call you because she has to send money to you and you send that money to me. I say, fine, that's good. She's going to support my ministry. It's okay. Let her call. But the lady called. I think she was in a late years. I think she's a grown woman. So she called. How are you, brother? I'm good. Are you a friend of this so and so? Yeah, I'm a friend of this so and so. So I have to send you money. And she began to question my relationship with my friend. I say, well, if that person endorses me to be the one receiving the money, I think there's an element of trust.
The trust.
And then later of our conversation, she said, can I pray with you? I said, no, you're not going to pray with me. You were rude, you were mean. How now you can pray with me? I don't disregard prayer, but she's the only person I say, don't pray with me. So we have to be very careful when we say love God, because there are person who will love God apparently.
Yes.
And will disregard the other person next to him or next to her.
And there is a reminder on that if we say that we love God and we hate our neighbor, we are found to be liars.
Yeah.
John said it explicitly, like that, just like that, clearly, that there is no way we can say that we love God. Actually, our love for one another will show that we love God.
Amen.
That's how it is. Even though the first commandment is to love God, but our love for one another will show whether we love God or not.
Yeah.
And on that, I can bring the story in Matthew chapter 19 of the rich young ruler. When Jesus tells him, go and keep the commandments, he asks Jesus, which commandments? And which commandments did Jesus refer him to? He did not refer to him the first 4 commandments. No, he referred to him the last 6 commandments.
Correct.
So it was more about his love for people and not his love for his wealth, for his money. It was his love for people. And simply because he could not come back after selling everything and give it to the poor, he had failed on a very important point. So we need to make sure that our love for ourselves is enabling us to love others and to be of service to God.
Amen. Thank you, Pastor Lubani. And we are running out of time. But it's so essential that today we have learned self-love is biblical.
Yes.
When that love generate service and mission.
Yes.
When that love is generated by loving God first, and God automatically will allow you to love other person.
Yes.
Because you cannot love others and disregard yourself.
Amen.
You have to love God, who will teach you to love others and yourself.
Yes.
With this we conclude. It's good to have you in this side. Remember to share, to like, to comment, and until next podcast of It's Not in the Syllabus. Bye bye.
Bye bye. God bless you.
All right.
Thank you.